Okay. So in today's class, we are going to discuss about the identifiers in Java. And so in earlier class, we have discussed like we created a simple Java project where we have created some names, and I told you data type and variable constants. So here we have to understand there is something called identifier that is present in Java. To write the identifier, we have certain rules that we have to follow. So what I can say here, this is called kind of a naming conventions that we have to follow. So right, so these are the couple of things that we will follow while writing the Java program. So here first we will define what is identifier first. So any name in Java is called identifier. So whatever the name that you are writing in a Java program, that is called identifier. So to write this specific identifier, we have set of rules. That rules are always, it should be alphabets A to Z or capital A to capital Z, and 0 to 9, and you can use dollar and you can use underscore. In your keypad, small a to small z and capital A to capital Z and 0 to 9 and dollar and underscore. This is only the symbols that we can use to create an identifier. So apart from this, you cannot use any of these special symbols. Only two special symbols are allowed. One is a dollar, one is an underscore. And point number two, when you create an identifier, it should not start with the numeric number. So numeric numbers are not allowed. And identifiers are case sensitive. When I say case sensitive, if you are writing some identifier as a Nihan, if I'm writing that Nihan is an uppercase, and if I'm writing Nihan in a small case, that means you are writing two identifier. The reason because it is a case sensitive means when you're writing the uppercase, that cannot be considered as the same value when you try to access that value, because uppercase is different, lowercase identifier is different. So when you're writing uppercase, that value, if you wanted to access, you have to give the uppercase what you have declared in the Java program. And while writing an identifier, we don't have any length limit. So length of that identifier is your wish. How much length you wanted to write, that you can write it. There is no limit at all. And next point is you cannot use any of the reserved words. As I told, in Java, we have 53 reserved words. Out of that 53, couple of them are non-used and 8 are the primitive data types. Apart from that, we have only 43. So total 53, and mostly we will use 43. So whatever the reserved words that was there, that you cannot consider as an identifier. And you can use any of the class and interface as an identifier. So when you wanted to use any of the class name which is present in the Java and interface, and that can be identifier. So this is basically about identifier. This is the theory part. So whatever I had discussed in this theory, we will go and implement in the Eclipse IDE, right? So let me write a simple Java program and I will show what is the identifier in that Java program, right? So we'll start with that. Right. So here I wanted to show you identifier. What is the identifier that was present in this Java class, right? So here you can see package, here you can see public, here you can see class. So when you see this in the Java program, these colors are pink color. And when you see this, these are the normal color, that is a black color. And this is not bold, remaining are bold and pink color. So what you have to understand here is, there is some difference between this package and this com.demo. So we have to identify what is that. So now, let me tell you the real scenario. What we have discussed for identifier, any name in Java is called identifier. That's what we have discussed. So here I will say two identifiers are present. Let me explain how and why. So here you are writing com.demo. This is one of the name. What does name, what that mean? Basically, this is package name. So package name is com.demo. So here what you have defined, any name in Java is called identifier. So here package is the free defined reserved word which is present in the Java, and you are giving the name for that package is com.demo. So this is the name. So you can consider that as an identifier. Next, we'll come to the line number 6. Here, public class and hello world. Don't think about this package and public class. We will discuss in detail in next classes. When the reserved words topic we will discuss about all the keywords. So we are talking about the identifier. So in this class, I wanted to highlight what is the identifier, how to declare the identifier, what are the rules that we have to follow to define an identifier, right? So here, this is the class name. Class name, see here, public and class, and this is hello world is called the class name. So you have written the class name as hello world. So hello world is the class name. So hello world is the class name. So this is one of the identifier. One is the package name and the second one is the class name. Package name and the second one is the class name. So here we can see the two identifiers, right? Let me declare some different ones. So let me define int x equals to 10. So here, what is the identifier? What are the things available? Let me tell you. Here, I can define x as an identifier because this is a variable name. Variable name. X is a variable. The name of the variable is, sorry, x is the variable. The name of the variable is x, right? So here we can call x as an identifier. The name, why x is an identifier? This is one of the variable name. Variable name. That's why we are defining x as the identifier. As I discussed, any name in the Java program is called an identifier, even a package name, even a class name, even a variable name, whatever it may be. So any name, this is the variable name. Any name in the Java class is called an identifier. Perfect. So let me discuss something more. So we have certain rules that we have discussed actually. So I will try to show you in the program. So what I'm trying to say, I wanted to declare a variable, and here I wanted to show you that when I try to write like this, I can see the error. I will tell why. If you recall the first condition as we discussed, always identifier will be A to Z and capital A to capital Z and 0 to 9, but it should not have any special character apart from the dollar and underscore. In this identifier, you can find the percentage symbol. That means Java is telling me, boss, you have given the wrong identifier. I am not allowing you to name it. So here it is telling, boss, you can change the value. If you click here, it will tell that syntax error, percentage is not allowed, please delete that. So that's what it is telling. When I delete this, I can see the error will not occur. So what you have understand is, when you declare an identifier, it should be A to Z or capital A to capital Z or 0 to 9 or dollar or underscore. That's it. Apart from this, nothing is accepted. Let me show you the different one. Int $t equals to 78. It is allowed. Why? Because only two special symbols that you can use while naming, right? Is that variable name or class name, package name, no matter what name it is. Any name is called an identifier right? So the thing is you have to use this dollar, and don't think this is the identifier name. This is an identifier because one of the name in Java program. This is the class name, this is the variable, this is the variable, this is the variable. Only thing, that name we can call it as an identifier. So here X means it is not an identifier, it is a variable. Name of that variable is X. That X we called as an identifier, but it is a variable, right? Next one is the rule number 2. If you will see, when you declare identifier, it should not start with the numeric. So numerics are not entertaining here. Numerics are allowed, you can write it, but it should not start with the numeric. Right here, it should be allowed in this case, because it should be 0 to 9, but you cannot start with the numeric digit. Here, light difference. What is the difference is, in identifier, you can use 0 to 9, but you cannot start with the numeric. So that is the next point. Perfect. So we'll discuss the next one. So this can be anything. So there will be no length limit. So here you can write how much length you want for this specific variable name, that you can write it. This variable name that is called an identifier, you can give whatever you want. Here there is no restrictions. And the next one is int public equals to 98. Here int public equals to 98. Here I can see the error. Let me tell you the point. Next point. The reserved words in Java you cannot use as an identifier. Public is one of the reserved word in Java, so we cannot use this reserved word when you define any of the variable name as a public. That is not allowed. Coming back to the next, int string equals to 28. So here I have written as a string. Here Java, we have a couple of predefined classes which are present, like a string or string buffer, string builder. These are the predefined classes, and a couple of predefined interfaces was also there. You can use any of the predefined class name or predefined interface name as an identifier. That means you can give a name as any of the predefined class that was present in the Java. String is one of the predefined class present in the Java. In this program, we have created a variable and we have assigned the value of 78. That name of the variable is string. We can call that name of the variable as an identifier. Here string is an identifier and it is one of the predefined class. If you see, we have discussed all the things, and one more thing is a case sensitive. So what does case sensitive mean? Basically, here you have written the int rt equals to 20 and int rt equals to 30. If you print rt, small rt, that will print 20. If you print capital RT, that will print 30. So both are RT, that's why compiler will confuse or not. You cannot think about it, because this is case sensitive. Every time you write or you define any of the variable, if the small mistake if you did, like you written instead of small, you written uppercase and you are trying to access, you will not get the value because it is case sensitive. Whatever the name that you have given while declaring, while accessing, you have to use the same letter. If it is uppercase, you have to use the uppercase. If it is a lowercase, you have to use the lowercase. This is all about the identifiers, right? So these are the couple of things that is present. You should be aware of it. So while defining a identifier, it should be A to Z or capital A to Z or 0 to 9 or dollar and underscore. Cannot start with numeric that we have seen, and case sensitive, no length limit, and you cannot use any of the reserved words, and we have used the public and we have discussed. And you can use any of the class name and interface name. One of the class name is string in Java that we have used, and we cannot see any of the error. Right, so this is the predefined class that we have used and we cannot see any error. Clear?